In this lesson, we're going to look at using Google Forms and spreadsheets to create a self-grading quiz. So the first thing I want to do is go into my Drive and I'm going to create my form. So I choose Create, I go down to Form, we'll give my form a name here, we'll call it Quiz, we'll just use the default theme and hit OK. So for the first question, I'm just going to ask the name, so your name. We want it to be a text question and we'll make it required. And we'll hit done. So now I'm going to add my first question. So I'm going to choose a simple multiple choice. And the question in this case will be, how many sides does an octagon have? And so option 1 will be 4, 5, we'll do 5, 7, and 8. Again, we'll make this required. I'll hit done. We'll do the second question. Another multiple choice. And this one we're going to go with, who was our first president? So we'll do Washington, if I spell it correctly. Carter, Hoover, and Johnson. Again, required. We'll hit done. And then we'll add our last question, which will be a text question. So we're going to choose text. And the question in this case is how many days are in a week? Also required. We'll hit done. We're going to go ahead and view the live form so you can take a look at what it looks like. So it's got your name, how many sides does an octagon have, who is our first president, and how many days a week. 2 multiple choice, 2 text questions. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the spreadsheet side. So I'm going to go to responses, and we're going to go to view responses. This will open up the spreadsheet that goes along with it, and we're going to do some conditional formatting in here. So for column C, we're going to highlight column C. I'm going to right click and choose conditional formatting. You could also get to that from Format, Conditional Formatting. And how many sides does an octagon have? We're going to say the conditional formatting, the text contains 8, which it will from our as our correct answer, and that the background color will be green. So what's going to happen here is if somebody selects 8 on this quiz, then over here on the spreadsheet, 8 will be the number that comes in, and it'll be that cell will be highlighted green. I'm going to make one more rule here on this one to make it a little bit more colorful, easier for me to read. I'm going to right click, choose conditional formatting. I'm going to add a second rule, and if the text does not contain 8, so if the text does not contain the right answer, I want the background color to be red. I'm going to do the same thing over here on column D. So we'll go conditional formatting. If text contains Washington, we want the background to be green. And if the text does not contain Washington, make the background color red. And then for the last part, you know what? Now you'll see I actually have 2 questions here that are identical. How many days are in a week? How many days are in a week? The reason for that is when I was setting up the quiz, I was practicing and I created this question and saved it. So in the demo that you guys saw, I created that question again. So I have 2 columns for that question. To get rid of a column, we're just going to right click on column E, and I'm just going to go hide column, and that'll get rid of that column so we don't have to see it. So last part, how many days are in a week? We're going to go ahead and do conditional formatting. Only in this case, if the text contains 7, we'll choose a background color of green. We're going to add another rule if the text contains 7, because again, we made this a text question. Background color will be green. And if it does not contain 7, in this case, I'm going to do 7 or 7. We'll make it red. I could have done that up here as well. We could have done one rule for 7 or 7. I just want to show you a couple different ways to do it. Now I'm going to save my rule. And let's go ahead and take the quiz. So to take the quiz, I'm going to go back up here to my quiz that's already open. I'm going to simply fill it out. My name is Mike. I'll choose 8, Washington, and I'll type 7 here. And I'll hit submit. I'm going to do it a couple more times. Mila, we'll do 5, Washington, and she'll type out 7. And we'll do another one. Ashley will go with 7 Washington, and she'll say 2, and then one more. Let's do Robert. We'll do 8 Washington and 7, and I'll hit submit. So now let's take a look at our responses and see how the sheet has been formatted. So when you click over here now, you'll see in all the areas where the student got the question right, it's highlighted green, and in all the areas where the student got the question wrong, it's highlighted in red. So I can very quickly and easily come through, see my list of students, and see how well they did on my quiz. So that's how you create a self-grading quiz inside of Google Forms. One thing to think about here is you may want to consider adding a field on the actual form itself for what period the kids are in. If you've got a lot of kids and they come at different times, you might want to have a period column, so you could actually sort the students by what period they had that class, and that way you would get a better breakdown of your results. But again, very easy. We go back to Google Forms, we simply add our questions, and then we go to responses, view responses, which will open up the spreadsheet, and then we just use conditional formatting on each one of these columns to make the text appear green or red. There's a lot of other things you could do. I mean, you could choose to, in this case, we could choose to change that formatting to maybe not do the background color, maybe just do the text color. You may not want to do the red at all. I'll save that rule, and in this case, you only see where they get it right. So again, a lot of different options here that you can mess around with.